lifelong nemesis that many people have survived. Although she has apologized and, of course, suspended. Well, uh, that's a major question. But the video of Miriam, a female student of the Land British International School in Abuja, slapping her classmate Namtira Bwala, has sparked outrage on social media platforms, with users demanding justice for the victim. In a proactive response to alarms raised by some members of the public regarding the bullying videos circulating on social media, the FCT Police Command Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, and her education counterpart, Tahir Maman, stormed the school on Tuesday and has begun investigation with the school closed for 3 days, during which the investigations are supposed to be concluded. But the period may be extended if the probe is not concluded. Meanwhile, students who spoke through the school gate said bullying was a major issue in the school, adding that despite making several complaints to the management of the Lead British International School, the issue has not been addressed. A child is the bully and a child is the bullied. And at every point, both need care, attention, and support. How can the society help both the bullied and the bullied? Well, this is one major talking point today for us. And to make sense out of all of this is our guest who is joining us virtually. And I'm talking about Mr. Babs Ogudimu, the General Secretary, Tech for Nigeria Alumni Association. A very good morning to you, Mr. Babs.
Good morning this morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right. Now, help us make sense of this. Child bullying in school. It's not something that is ending anytime soon. But with the revelation made, what would you make of this, and what would be advised to parents? Because parenting is super important when it comes to the upbringing of these children.
All right, thank you. In the phase of recent development that we have just seen recently, we understand that for every child, we have two important factors that affect nature and nurture. And in the point of nurture, that is where parent comes in. And when we see the situations around, most of the time, parents has taken the error lane of raising children that think that they are better than others. And most of the time, in the idea of nurture, our parents have raised people who fail to understand what we call social interaction. And when we raise kids like this, they turn out to become, young adults who go out there to think that they can do anything to anybody because they feel super important.
All right, before we continue this conversation, sorry, we'd just like you to hold your thoughts there. Let's take some of the clips that trended yesterday, especially where the girl in question, the one that that was doing the bullying, tendered apologies, and then we'll come back and talk some more.
I'm also apologizing to all you people outside. I'm sincerely sorry. I wish this never happened. My name is Maya.
And some teachers were watching them and they didn't do anything. With literally see them, they are wrong. Like they were using to give people.
It doesn't mean it has been happening every day.
Yes. Yes, it happens every day.
And they always give us practice. Like, how does that stop you from Yes, the bully was
One time they poured water on us.
But have you ever reported to the management?
No, yes, they don't do anything. If they pay the money, they will stop.
Have it. There you have it. The apology that has been tendered, and also some students of the university, unfortunately, part of their faces showed in this video. That was supposed to be blurred, actually. But some students in the... Did I say university initially?
That's actually where I was laughing.
Okay. Some students in the school, the institution, expressing that, saying that this has been happening. Now, bullying is a thing, really. It's a thing, but has it gotten to that, in the Western world, it's a major thing that has driven some people to committing suicide and all of that. It's really major, especially with the advent of social media. It gets even worse. But right here in Nigeria, has it gotten to the point where we should be worried that this might drive some children to committing suicide? Have we gotten to that point in Nigeria? And how can this be stemmed? How can this be stopped? Can it be stopped? If it can, how?
Yeah, thank you. Let me say here that issue of bullying, like you have said, is not new. And this that have just happened, if we go deep down, you see that we're going to be opening a can of worms in, especially, like they say, in the expensive schools, in quotes. And it can lead to anything, because when we say bullying, it comes with different effects from, mental, academic performance, overall well-being. Because once dignity has been, trampled upon, and we handle shock differently. However, this can be cautioned in our schools, and the first thing we need to do a school should be a safe haven. A school should foster a positive environment that promotes respect and, of course, diversity.
All right, so what is the role of...
culture.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Network
The glitch is making it, it's cutting off what you're saying. So I felt you had landed on your thoughts there.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Babs.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
go
yes,
ahead,
we can.
please.
Okay. And to put in place, I want to believe that each school should have what we call child protection policy board stated clearly, probably in the reception of their school, in all the classes of the school, so that when the student engage with this board that contains all the child protection policies, you understand that they read it day in and day out. They know if you do this, then this is the punishment for this. And the school should also involve parents by regular communication about school policies and their child experiences.
Okay.
Because in all of this, we are having a case where, one, the students will claim that they do not know about child protection acts or policies of the school. If it's only in the principal or in the HOS office, but in this case, let it be around the school so that they keep on engaging with it every day. And if you check that video that was being circulated, we have some bystander there.
Yes.
They were doing nothing, rather they were just trying to add pressure to it. In cases like this, we should empower bystanders with strategies to intervene safely. And of course, report bullying. When
All right,
all of this, I want to believe that it is going to help our educational institutions.
Okay.
Psychologists who have the opinion that bullying actually has to do with mental issue. And they actually pointed out three things. Some were of the opinion that insecurity actually sets in. And then other people were of the opinion that child's brain actually not really form well. By so doing, the person will be thinking as a caveman and all that. And, you know, but now you find out that some schools actually don't really think about the mental health of the people that they are bringing into the school. Some were just after the money. And also some parents tend to deny when they notice some threats in their children who actually need specially, they wouldn't want to bring it out. Now, how do you think actually all this should be cut?
Okay, let me start by saying from the parent path. Today, in the Nigeria that we live today, how many parents want to enroll a child into a school, and when they get to that school, ask about things that matter? For example, what are your child right acts, child protection policies of the schools? Most of the time, we didn't ask this. What are the measures you have against violence against persons? Because these are acts that are actually out there. But when they get to this school, what they want to check is how much they are paid, what is the physical structure like. So if parents start taking this into consideration, I want to be sure that no parent wants the rights of his or her child trampled. So when you get to a school to enroll a child, or as a routine check, just call into the school, walk into the school. I want to see the updated or what is the school doing about child protection. So with this, the school and the parents will be on the same page. How they want to secure, or protect the child within the school environment.
I'm still going to stay with you on that parenting. I had two parents. I had to bring them to the understanding of this whole scenario. And one of the parents told me, and of course, I did not have to bring this there, but one of the parents told me that child being slapped can never be my child. In other words, what that means is she is training, or she is assuming that her child will retaliate that particular slap. Now, that would cause even more chaos if there was a retaliation. Now, what would you say to parents who think this way? And then going also to take it further, what would you say to some quarters who are saying that parenting have to do with the father and the mother, not just one single person, maybe a mother or maybe a father?
Well, thank you for that. Let me start with the issue of people who think that their own child will have retaliated. In all honesty, I actually read that tweet from a respected, member of the community, who people actually thought it was his girl that was being, bullied.
Okay.
And he came and said, no, that can be his girl, because he knows that it will have been other way around in self-defense. Well, most of the time we want to hide under self-defense. But if there is one thing I want to comment in that video of about 18 slaps, that girl was still cool, calm, and collected. That shows the kind of our upbringing. And let me say this today.
Do you actually consider that good upbringing to
Yes.
allow yourself be taken advantage of?
Okay, let me make you understand this.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
We are taking this issue now because we saw a girl who, in face of a lot of disrespect and her right being trampled upon, still remain so cool. It would have been a case of the way they call it, two fighting, if the girl has retaliated. And let's say that the girl retaliated, and unfortunately, the Namitra girl now overpowered the other girl. We won't be here talking about how she has slapped her. So for me, I think that in the face of all of this, the girl was able to maintain her cool and calm nature.
Okay.
Understanding that she doesn't have to take law into her hands. And this is where we can actually help ourselves in this society. See, addressing bullying requires a collective effort from students, from parents, from educators, and the community. I saw a video where the Minister of Women Affairs came to the school with our team, and I think, like I read in that video, the aunt of the bullied girl slapped the lady in question, Miriam.
Yes.
For me, I think it is out of line. She lost her cool. You don't have to slap a minor because you are angry. That's another case entirely.
If I'm gonna speak in her defense, the girl, she was asking the girl a question, and are you the mother? Did you give birth to her? Why would you slap her that many times? And the girl was chewing gum. That would give a parent the idea of insolence, disrespect. So maybe that was why she lost her cool. I'm just speaking in her defense. Go ahead, please.
I can relate with it. As a teacher, I've once taught in a school like this, where, in fact, it's an A-level school where you cannot flog. In fact, when you want to,
Oh yes, I was going there.
correct them, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
The way you speak to them. So,
This
what
is another
that taught me
That's another one.
during that time is that you need to know how to manage your emotions, emotional intelligence. So for me, addressing the case of bullying is not just about the student alone. Parents are also involved. In fact, we have issues
What
where
is the role of parents? Sorry, I'm interrupting you. We're trying to get everything in within the time frame that we have. What is the role of the parents now?
Now, the first role of the parent, like I said the other time, that two factors affect every child: nature and nurture. The role of the parent is nurturing a child with respect, and that understands that he or she should be able to manage his or her emotions at every time.
Okay.
Now, one of the cause of bullying is power dynamics. When I feel that I can actually exert dominance or control over another. Most of the time, we have been seeing this in our child at home, but we're trying to just look away. When we start having issues like that, it might even be between, siblings, older siblings to the younger one. Let's correct it as soon as possible before you get outside there, because most of this, it's from the home. They say that charity begins from home, and home itself is the basic sociological tool for every children.
Okay.
So parents should take nurturing seriously. They should nurture kids that has respect for others and for themselves, that has respect for constituted authority. And with that, we should understand that when parents have done their, school will fall in line.
Okay.
When there is respect, there is empathy for others, then we won't have a case of bullying.
Talking about school falling in line, I've also heard about teachers bullying the wards or children now under their care. For example, somewhere in Delta State some time ago, a teacher flogged an 18-month-old child to the point that the child had to die after some days. Now, are we also still leaving it now for parents, because this teacher now is an adult, inflicting such pain on a child, a little baby of 18 months that was actually, is that bullying too? It is actually, because this lady was kind of, according to what the report said, kept on flogging the little child because she saw it herself, up until the fact that this had to take the child's life with that. What do you have to say about that too?
Well, first, you agree with me that in the education sector, it is just for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Not all teachers you are seeing today are trained and certified teachers. This is the only sector where anybody at any time can just come in and be a teacher. In the phase of today's teaching, every teacher have been trained and, of course, retrained to understand that whether capital or corporal punishment is not allowed today in schools. And it's teaching teachers always to manage their emotions and, of course, develop some sort of emotional intelligence. So the unfortunate case that happened in Delta, just like you have recounted, is I don't want to say it's a trained teacher.
But that's an unfortunate
For
one.
every trained teacher, you understand the fact that you are in local parentis. You are meant to give them this support system that every child needs in your school.
Okay.
So they can actually go haywire, but your own maturity and emotional intelligence will calm the situation.
All right, let me bring you back. Let me bring you
Yes.
back to this particular incident of bullying now. For some of us, in our time, growing up, you don't just come home crying that somebody bullied you or somebody dealt with you. I mean, if your older ones or your parents would even go confront the person, first thing they ask is, how old is the person? All right? Is this person your age mate? Is this person older than you? If the person is older than you, yes, then they come and speak to the person. But if the person is your age mate, they tell you, what are you doing? Okay, your age mate. Now, don't you think teaching, you're chuckling, don't you think teaching children to stand up for themselves, not necessarily fighting back, but standing up for themselves, letting the bully know that, look, you cannot just hit me and get away with it, will help them build some sort of mental strength. Because we've seen cases where children were bullied in school, and maybe their parents fought for them, maybe not. But when they graduate and grow up, the moment they come across that bully, even though they are now adults, the moment they see that bully, fear comes into them again. They start to tremble because the trauma of what was, meted out on them as children returns. But in a situation whereby you're made to stand up for yourself, you're able to deal with whatever traumatic experience may happen later in life. Don't you think that would be a way to raise our kids? So you know that, look, if the person is your age grade, stand for yourself.
Okay, thank you, because you took us back to a memory lane of the way we were raised.
Of course.
And you dare not come back home crying. That's
No, of course not.
However, just like I say now, we're dealing with Gen Z. It is a good thing. It is advisable that kids were being taught how to stand up for themselves. But we have to do it with a very sense of caution. Let's dot our I's and cross our T's when we are doing that. We're teaching them that standing up for yourself doesn't necessarily you have to go haywire and repel attacks. Now, one thing I also believe is that I've been working for me, even from childhood, is I so much put myself in that respectable position that even my prospective bully, he want to check me twice before he or she tried anything insane. So if there's one thing, there's something we call self-respect. Parents should teach their children this. You yourself, as a child, you are valued. You are loved at home. So when you go outside there, let it known to other colleagues of yours that you matter. Now, if I want to teach them how to stand for themselves, the first slap that girl gave this girl in question, should have just voiced out. If you try it again, sometimes you give some kind of mouth truth. If you try it again, I'm going to report you to this. There's a way you sound some note of warning, and even your bully first check it as, okay, I have to calm down. So for me, standing up is encouraged, but it has to be with caution so that this is our Gen Z that we have do not result into violence.
Okay. Now talking about this Gen Z time that we are, also, this particular issue that happened led to a debate where people were blaming bad parenting to be the reason a lot of children now turn out to be bullied. Some were of the opinion that some of the children in school are kind of, playing out what they see at home. father beating mother or vice versa. Now, and there's some other people of the opinion that why is it that the old people who train this generation, they trained wonderful people. For example, I have my colleagues there, they cannot be bullies, let's start that way. They trained wonderful people, but now what we as a modern generation are giving out to the society actually are kind of appalling. Now, what do you actually think happened along the line? A lot of people, mothers will tell you, don't beat my child. Don't do it. Schools actually are buying it, whereas those children actually are kind of bad behaved. And then you find out that these people who are actually giving out disorders are being trained by good teachers, good people in the society that when you want to make a reference to, you remember them in those days. What really happened along the line? And what do you think we need to do to be able to put, a permanent stop to all this?
Well, thank you for that. You see, let me start by saying this. Just like you have just mentioned, the kind of parenting we have now is a social media parenting. Where, I do more of Twitter very well, and every time you see women, even men sometimes, bring family issues that should have been settled amicably, you see on TikTok what should be in they were showing us. And these are parents. The necessary time for them to engage their kids is being spent on social media. And I said it over time. This parent that we have now, we've not learned to be one wholeheartedly. We have become two. And from two, we are still adjusting to be two. Boom, we have become three. What am I trying to say? As a single, you have not actually worked on yourself very well. Then one way or the other, you find yourself double, become married. You are still adjusting to that, then child rearing comes into it. So a lot of this has happened, and there is what I call a kind of degradation in values. Even parents no longer have values today. Now, what do we say to a parent whose videos is around social media? How is that kind of parent going to tell his or her kid that no, you don't flaunt whatever that should be indoor? You don't flaunt to social media. As a parent, we need to lead by example. Just like we say, family is the first social agent. They learn everything from home at first. So in this dispensation that we have, this kind of parent that we have, we need to be intentional about raising our kids. Intentionality. Let them be strong in norms, culture, morals, and values. When we see parents that say, no, you can't beat my child. For me, I also believe that beating is not the only thing to correct a child.
All right, then.
In fact, for me, I believe in what we call sandwich approach in correction, not beating. However, intentionality on the part of parents to put aright children under their care is what is needed at this time.
All right, then. In about a minute, let's have your concluding thoughts on this, because we're out of time.
Well, it is with us now. The idea of bullying and, of course, child abuse is with us. And in addressing bullying, it requires a collective effort from students, parents, educators, and community. And by understanding the seriousness of bullying and implementing effective strategies to combat it, schools can help safeguard the well-being of all students and foster a more inclusive educational environment. Teachers should see themselves as in-local parents. They are with these kids for about 10, 12 hours per day. They should create an environment that is safe for every kid under their care.
Thank you very much. But lastly, I was going to ask this question earlier. Why do schools tend to hide things like this? Why don't they, escalate it? Let the parents know. Why do they hide it? After all the students are paying about the same amount of money, aren't they?
Okay, let me say that from experience. Like I said, I once worked in, a top school like that. It's about PR.
PR.
You don't want your school to be in bad news, in bad image. and they try to, as much as possible, to kill that kind of news indoor.
Okay.
Now, it's unfortunate that this is coming out now, because the school now, in their investigation, let me say this, they will be looking for who actually videoed that event.
Yes, and that person might be,
It's as funny as that, because they want to make it everything a closed door. They believe that no, it's a school thing. They believe that it happens everywhere. So our school shouldn't be make a bad example.
Okay.
So, and that is why everybody want to put it, kill it,
On
eat
the
it
wraps.
in their respective closed doors.
Unfortunately. Oh, well, thank you very much, Babs Ogundimu, General Secretary, Teach for Nigeria Alumni Association. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
All right, then. We'll go on a break now. When we come back, we'll have business, entertainment, and sports.